Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into one of the absolute cornerstones of Western literature. It's a story packed with monsters, gods, and one seriously long trip home, Homer's Odyssey.
Now get this, that's not just some random opinion. In 2018, a whole panel of experts officially named the Odyssey the single most enduring story ever. I mean, think about that. It beat out thousands of years of other stories. That is a massive claim, and it kind of makes you wonder, right?
What's the secret sauce here? How can an epic poem from almost 3,000 years ago still hit so hard today? Well, as it turns out, the answer starts with its main character, who is probably not at all who you think he is.
So let's start with the complicated man at the very heart of this thing. You need to forget any ideas you have about a hero in shining armor. See, the reason Odysseus feels so incredibly modern is because he's a mess. He's deeply flawed. You could even say he's literature's very first antihero.
There's this huge gap between what we expect from an epic hero and what Homer actually gives us. We think we're getting this brave, glorious warrior, but the reality? We get Odysseus, a brilliant liar, a pirate, a serial adulterer, and, as one critic put it, a sleazy guy who cheats on his devoted wife and gets his entire crew killed.
And that quote, it just hits the nail on the head. This is a guy who is charming and persuasive, for sure, but he is also incredibly dangerous. He will do literally whatever it takes to survive, and that makes him fascinating. But, not exactly a role model.
It all comes down to this really important Greek concept called metis. And metis, well, that's his superpower. While a hero like Achilles from the Iliad is all about brute strength, Odysseus is all about his mind. He's a trickster. He's a master of deception. The famous Cyclops scene is the perfect example of his metis and his massive ego in action. He cleverly gets the giant drunk, tells him his name is nobody, so the other giants won't help, and then blinds him to escape. It's absolutely genius. But then, he just can't resist boasting. As he's sailing away, he yells out his real name. And that single act of pride allows the Cyclops to call down a curse from his father, the sea god Poseidon, which makes his journey home about 1,000 times harder. So he's brilliant, but he's also arrogant. He's a survivor, but he's also responsible for so much death. It's this complexity, this moral gray area, that makes him feel so incredibly real. He's basically the prototype for the Tony Sopranos and the Walter Whites of our own time, those anti-heroes we just can't look away from. Okay, so that's the man, but to really get Odysseus, you have to understand the world he's moving through. And that world, it pretty much operates on two key principles. First up, there's this idea of nostos. This isn't just about, getting back to your house. It's the entire heroic struggle of the return. This one single goal is what drives every single thing Odysseus does for 10 long, brutal years. And this is what makes the Odyssey so different from its big brother, the Iliad. The Iliad is all about Kleos, that's glory, fame won on the battlefield. That's the path Achilles chose, and he died a famous warrior. The Odyssey asks a totally different question. What happens after the war's over? It's about Odysseus choosing Nostos, the long, painful journey back to family and to a normal life. Now, along with his goal of homecoming, there is a sacred social rule that governs almost every interaction in the story. It's called xenia, or guest friendship. And how you treat a guest, or how you behave as a host, is basically a measure of your soul. Breaking this rule, that has some really dire consequences. And the rules were crystal clear. A host had to offer food, shelter, gifts, and a safe trip onward. A guest had to be respectful and share news from the outside world. And you follow these rules because, in this world, any stranger knocking at your door might just be a god in disguise, testing you. Pretty much every stop on Odysseus's journey is a test of xenia. The Phaeacians, they're the gold standard. They find him washed up on their beach, a total wreck, and before they even know his name, they give him everything he needs to finally get home. They follow the rules of xenia perfectly. And on the total opposite end of the spectrum, you've got the Cyclops, Polyphemus. See, he isn't a monster just because he's a giant with one eye. He's a monster because he is the ultimate bad host. He laughs at the gods, traps his guests, and then he eats them. His violation of xenia is what truly makes him monstrous. So, what do you get when you combine a timelessly complex character with these huge universal themes of homecoming and hospitality? Well, you get a powerful story, a story that's been retold and reinterpreted for nearly 3 millennia. I mean, you can literally trace its influence right through history. From the Romans with Virgil's Aeneid, which is basically amazing Roman fan fiction of Homer, to James Joyce's modernist masterpiece Ulysses, and all the way up to recent bestsellers like Circe and even a viral musical. The story just keeps coming back, again and again. But these new versions aren't just remakes. They're what we call a textual conversation with the original. They argue with it, they challenge it. Writers today look at the story and they ask new questions, like what was it really like for his wife Penelope, just waiting for 20 years? What about the sorceress Circe side of the story? And was Odysseus really a hero, or was he a man suffering from severe PTSD?
And that right there is the key to its endurance. The basic story of a long journey home is like a blank canvas, and every new generation can use it to paint its own fears, its own anxieties, its own questions, whether it's about the trauma of war, gender roles, or the simple search for identity in a crazy world.
So there you have it. The secret isn't just one thing, it's three. You've got a protagonist who feels like he could walk right off the page into our world today. You have themes that speak to the very core of what it means to be human. And you have a structure so strong it can be reinvented forever.
And all that leaves us with one final thought. The Odyssey makes it really clear that the man who left for Troy is not the same man who returns to Ithaca. He's been changed, scarred, and hardened by everything he's been through. So it has to make you wonder, in our own lives, when we face our own epic struggles to get home, whatever that means to us, what pieces of ourselves get left behind along the way?